All right, Matt the Mortgage Guy here, shooting the obligatory 2020 real estate and mortgage prediction video. Special shout out to Ryan Lundquist, real estate appraiser in the Sacramento area. Does a ton of stuff, tons of stats, and he sparked my interest to do this video article he put out yesterday or today about real estate predictions. So I'm doing this more because it's fun to record it and then look back a year later and realize how far off you were. So I'm under no false assumption that I'm going to be able to make an accurate prediction, because any of us that have been doing this long enough understand that we're all guessing, and all these experts that analyze data can't foresee a lot of the stuff that happens and that affects the real estate and the mortgage market. But there's certain things that we can measure and look at, and it's probably pretty good indicators of some things that we should expect to see. So without further ado, 2020 predictions for real estate and mortgage. And what I do see and what I think is that there's continued demand and low inventory. And when you have low amounts of inventory at price points where people are demanding it, people are wanting to buy it, you can't do anything but have prices increase because the demand outweighs the inventory. As much as builders have confidence and builders are continuing to build, they're just not building enough, and they're certainly not building enough at the price points where buyers want to buy. And so one thing that is worth mentioning is you can't necessarily say the real estate market is up X percent or down X percent without realizing that it's going to be segmented. What I mean by that is the amount of price appreciation, which means what the prices do from one year to the next, is going to fluctuate different at the $300,000 price point than it does at the $1 million price point. And it makes sense, and if you think about it, there's going to be a lot more demand for the larger demographic of people that can buy that $300,000 starter house than there is at the $1 million mark. Just not as many people can afford a $1 million house, so there's not as much demand. So in whatever market you're in, if the entry-level price point is $200, if it's $300 in some really expensive markets, that first-time starter home's $500 or $700, whatever that price point is, that specific slice of real estate, I see continued issues with supply and tons of demand. So those prices will increase. I think, as far as numbers go, the Increase Core Logic does a lot of data analysis and whatnot. They said 5.6% increase in 2020. So if you took a $300,000 house and a 5.6% increase, you would realize that, okay, next year that was going to cost $317,000-ish at a 5.6% increase. So like I said, the 5.6 overall might be 1% increase or no increase at the highest end, 8 to 10% on the low end, and different variations of that in between. So keep that in mind. And as far as mortgage prediction goes, I've got different ideas on that. The data that I've read and the things that I've seen from trusted sources like Fannie Mae think that rates are going to continue to be low, fluctuate in that 3.7 to 3.9 range on a 30-year fixed rate, which is just historically fantastic and a great rate. So mortgage rates continue to be low. A bunch of great people I listen to, like Barry Habib, think that if the economy sputters and the 10-year treasury goes down in 2020, we might see even lower lows than we've already seen as far as mortgage rates go. So looking forward to that. If it happens, great. It makes real estate an even greater investment, which is already a great investment. And one more thing on the real estate predictions is really cool stats that Barry Habib talked about. And this is just, my layman's version of some really good data and information that he shared, is that the baby boomer generation who has kids who are now in their 30s, that demographic of 34 to 36, which is, as they've studied the demographic that's a first-time home buyer, those numbers, 2020, 21, and 22, are growing a lot. And so if you look at that data and say, if we've got more people in this age group that just so happens to be the age group that enters the housing market for the first time and buys their first house, then that even adds more to demand, which, as we've discussed, more demand, not a lot of inventory, prices increase. So, you know, if you wanted to, any takeaway from this video, I think while rates are low and prices are not the lowest they've ever been, but they might even go higher, it might be something worth looking at and seeing if buying real estate in 2020 is good for you. Any questions at all, please feel free to reach out, and be fun to look back on this. 3.7-ish% on the 30-year mortgage. I'll make that prediction for next year just so I have something, and I'll predict a 6% increase on price. And so that way we'll have this documented. We can look back last year, see that I was off for whatever reason. So until next time, Matt the Mortgage Guy.